I had studied war my entire life. I had fought in 7 planetary conflicts, advised the tactical councils of 2 star empires, and trained with the elite Voidwalkers of the Delcar Dominion. I'd seen death in all its variations, efficient, brutal, even poetic. I thought I understood the cost of battle. That illusion shattered on the 3rd day of the Terran front. My name is Karen Velos, strategic warlord of the Rithari Ascendancy. We are one of the galaxy's dominant military civilizations. Our warriors bred for combat. Our AI commanders capable of calculating 1,000,000 scenarios in real time. But even we underestimated the humans. When the Terrans first entered the galactic stage, we dismissed them as chaotic primitives, scattered tribes of carbon-based opportunists from a blue rock on the edge of mapped space. They were unrefined, loud, impulsive, and worst of all, unafraid. The Council sent me to observe their forces during the Scaros dispute, a minor planet in the expanse, resource-rich, strategically useful. Both the Ascendancy and the Glavari Syndicate laid claim to it. Then, unexpectedly, the Terran coalition landed troops. We assumed it would be over in days. But humans don't fight like the rest of us. They don't calculate only by numbers or efficiency. They factor in things our models can't predict. Vengeance, sacrifice, loyalty, madness. They dig in. They burn bridges. They break rules we didn't know could be broken. On the 2nd night of the siege, we intercepted a Terran platoon pinned down in Ravine 6. A Glavari orbital unit had them surrounded, cutting off every escape vector. Standard protocol would call for surrender or reinforcement. Instead, the humans detonated a shaped nuclear charge beneath their own location, collapsing the ravine, taking the Glavari with them. 0 survivors. No retrieval. Just a crater and silence. They sacrificed themselves? I asked the human liaison in disbelief. She didn't even blink. They volunteered. Something shifted in me that moment. My models cracked at the edges. I'd spent years studying victory but not will. Not the way humans used it like a weapon. On day 3, I got permission to observe one of their elite units, Task Force Fury. They wore no insignias. Their armor was mismatched and scorched. One soldier wore dog tags from 6 comrades, all dead. Their commander, a woman with cold eyes and a voice like broken glass, briefed them with the simplicity of killers. We hold the gate, no matter what. If you see a Glavari commander, drop everything and erase them. If you die, die angry. I thought it was bravado, until the battle began. I had seen kinetic warfare before. Plasma strikes, gravity mines, orbital bombardments. But I had never seen a squad fight like they were possessed by the void itself, laughing while bleeding, charging through suppressive fire, dragging wounded with one arm while shooting with the other. They used terrain like a dance. Their fear had teeth, but it never slowed them. When the Glavari fell back, it wasn't strategy. It was panic. And when the humans pursued, it wasn't victory. It was unleashing. I returned to my command tent with a mind on fire. The data feeds didn't match the reality I'd just witnessed. The tactical breakdowns showed standard maneuvers, predictable engagements. But what I had seen on the battlefield was chaos honed into precision. I couldn't explain it, not in terms our models recognized. The human soldiers fought like they were born in war, but not just to win. No, there was something deeper, more primal, as if war was in their marrow. I couldn't stop thinking about the commander of Task Force Fury, Captain Elena Moraine. I watched her again the next day, this time during the assault on Glavari Outpost Theta 4. Our models predicted a 68% failure rate. The terrain was exposed, their numbers insufficient. Reinforcements were delayed. She launched the assault anyway. I watched through my visor from the rear ridge as her team emerged from the smoke. They weren't just attacking, they were hunting. And the Glavari knew it. One soldier used a downed aircraft wing as a sled, sliding under enemy fire to reach a forward position. Another climbed a burning tower with a broken leg just to secure high ground cover. When a drone swarm descended, They turned their rifles on one another, not to kill but to blind fire, knowing the drones tracked heat and movement. It worked. They eliminated the swarm. Losses, 1. Enemy casualties, 63. How? I approached Captain Moraine after the skirmish. You disobeyed 3 tactical protocols, I said, trying to mask the awe in my voice. You engaged with insufficient forces. You exposed your flank. She looked up, wiping blood, hers, someone else's, off her helmet. We saw an opportunity, took it, but you risked your entire team. She stared through me. They were willing. That's enough. Willing. The word echoed in my mind like a fault line cracking. Among my own people, orders are followed. Among the Glavari, fear keeps discipline. But with humans, it wasn't obedience. It wasn't fear. It was belief. Belief in one another. Belief in the mission. Belief that death meant something more than an end. Later that night, I reviewed the after-action reports. One segment from a helmet cam stopped me cold. A human soldier pinned behind debris, his leg torn open. Glavari drones closing in. He activated his suit's vocal relay and whispered, "Hey, Glavari, want to know why your gods never answer? They're dead. We killed them on the way here." Then he opened fire with his last charge and detonated a microgrenade beneath himself. The explosion took out the entire enemy drone wing. I paused the feed, replayed it. Again and again. No hesitation. Just will. The next morning, I received a directive from the Ascendancy Council. Withdraw all observers. Begin evaluation for potential ceasefire. Human threat level. Reassess to Class Omega. Reason. Behavioral unpredictability and unacceptable loss projection. They were afraid, and for the first time in my long, blood-stained career, so was I. We had always measured strength by numbers, by ships in orbit, by mass moved on the battlefield, but the humans measured it by something else entirely. I sat alone in the dark, sifting through recovered transmissions from the human task force. Not official orders, not tactical overlays. I needed to see them, unfiltered. So I studied helmet feeds, personal logs, off-duty chatter. What I discovered unraveled everything I thought I knew about warfare. A soldier with shrapnel embedded in his ribs told a joke mid-battle to keep his squad focused. A medic, hands shaking, stitched a friend's artery closed with a torn glove and whispered, "I'm not losing you today, damn it." And then, audio from a firefight where a lone Marine screamed, "For Luna," before charging into a mech's kill zone and blowing it apart from underneath. They fought like people who had already made peace with death. Like every battle wasn't a calculation, it was a promise. To each other, to the dead, to whatever gods they once believed in. I watched Captain Elena Moraine again as her team regrouped after Theta 4. She was in the middle of a crater, cleaning her weapon with methodical calm, her armor scorched and dented. Her second in command, a scarred man named Reyes, dropped beside her and grinned. "That went well," he said. She didn't even look up. "We're not dead. I'll take it. No celebration, no panic, just grim endurance. They didn't fear war. They wore it." Later that cycle, the Glavari launched a retaliatory strike. Massive force, overwhelming numbers. We predicted the humans would bunker down or retreat. They did neither. They ran straight into it. I watched the live feed in stunned silence as the humans broke ranks, intentionally, to scatter enemy formations. They used their own wounded as bait to draw in Glavari heavy armor, then dropped kinetic rods from orbit with near-perfect timing. It was madness. It was beautiful. They lost dozens, maybe more, but they won, again. And after the dust cleared, Moraine sent out a single broadcast on an open channel. To the Glavari command, "We've counted your kills. Now count ours. You're bleeding and we haven't even tried yet. No threats, no arrogance, just truth." That evening, I stood outside the human encampment. I was supposed to be observing. Just observing. But I found myself needing to understand. Moraine met me without ceremony. "You ever wonder," I asked her quietly, "why you fight the way you do?" She shrugged, wiping oil from her hands. "We come from a world that tried to kill us every day. Ice ages, predators, plagues, we survived all of it." I nodded slowly. "And now?" She looked at me, eyes calm, steady. "Now we teach the galaxy why we did." I once believed our war doctrines were flawless. The Ascendancy had spent generations perfecting the art of conquest, strategic attrition, morale manipulation, technological dominance. But our models had one fatal flaw. They assumed our enemies feared death the way we did. Humans didn't. They respected it, yes. They mourned their dead, honored them. But they never feared it, not in the way the rest of the galaxy did. And that made them unstoppable. After the skirmish at Theta 4, we anticipated a period of rest, a lull. Instead, the humans went on the offensive. Within 46 hours, they launched 3 separate assaults, each riskier than the last. One was a zero-visibility drop through an ion storm onto an enemy cruiser's hull. Another was a subterranean siege through collapsed tunnels teeming with toxic gas. They didn't hesitate. I watched Captain Elena Moraine lead her squad into a compound we'd deemed unbreachable. Not with explosives, not with orbital strikes. But she didn't bring either. She brought music. They blasted audio through the comms, earth frequencies, pounding drums, screaming vocals, rhythms I couldn't decipher but felt in my chest. The Glavari garrison, unused to psychological warfare of that type, panicked. Some even fled their posts. The compound fell in 20 minutes. No casualties. Later, I asked Moran what that sound was. She grinned. Metal. It wasn't just their tactics, it was their unpredictability, their creativity. Our enemies adapted slowly. Humans didn't adapt, they improvised. I reviewed a feed where 2 Marines, out of ammo, flanked, injured, rigged a broken drone to mimic Glavari life signs and tossed it into enemy ranks. The confusion lasted only seconds. It was enough. They survived. The Ascendancy Council sent a message to all observers. Do not interfere. Do not engage. Your duty is to document. Humanity's role in this conflict must be understood before any formal contact is attempted, but it was already too late for neutrality. Because I wasn't just observing anymore. I was witnessing something ancient, something terrible, something beautiful. In one of their downtime recordings, a soldier named Kuri told a story around a campfire, broadcast over secure frequencies. Her voice was calm, almost wistful. Back home, there's this thing called a honey badger. Tiny little animal. Doesn't look like much, but it'll tear into lions, snakes, even whole packs of predators. Not because it's big, but because it doesn't care if it dies, as long as it takes you with it. Then she laughed. We're not so different. That same night, Glavari Command issued a new internal alert. Engagement with Terran forces only advised under numerical superiority. 10-1. Avoid hand-to-hand combat. Terminate injured humans immediately. Do not allow them time to speak. They were afraid of their words, not just their weapons, and I understood why. Because humans didn't just fight with bullets or blades. They fought with belief, with stories, with fire in their voices that made even death hesitate. The last offensive was meant to break them. The Ascendancy launched a full-scale assault across 3 systems, deploying dreadnoughts, orbital razors, and bioshock artillery. It was a surgical strike, strategic, overwhelming, undeniable. On paper, it was flawless. But humans don't fight on paper. I was stationed aboard the observation vessel Carex Sentinel, watching as the initial barrage scorched the skies of Taros 5. Human outposts were vaporized. Communication relays went dark. One of their orbital stations split in half, its pieces burning into the atmosphere like dying comets. We expected silence. Instead, humanity responded with Protocol Helix 0. I'd never seen anything like it, not just in this war, but in any war. Within minutes, every known human frequency went dead. We assumed we'd crippled their command structure. But the blackout wasn't a failure. It was the signal. They stopped communicating because they no longer needed to. Every unit, every pilot, every soldier knew what came next. And that was the moment I realized humanity wasn't broken, it had been unleashed. Captain Moraine reappeared 14 hours later, leading a task force that should not have existed. Their armor bore the sigils of ancient Earth divisions we thought long extinct. Their weapons emitted energies the Ascendancy classified as incompatible with galactic warfare standards. They fought like ghosts. No, like revenants. They tore through our lines, not with brute force, but with terrifying precision. Every weak point exploited, every supply line sabotaged. They moved as if they'd already mapped our decisions before we'd made them. We learned later that Protocol Helix 0 wasn't a counterattack. It was a release clause. It activated contingency forces buried in asteroid belts, sleeper cells hidden in enemy colonies, AI commanders long thought decommissioned. Even the moon, Earth's moon, shifted into a defensive orbit and revealed embedded rail batteries we never knew existed. Humanity had planned for extinction, and then prepared to crawl back from it. One Glavari dreadnought sent a surrender broadcast. It wasn't accepted. Not out of cruelty, because by that point, there was no one left to answer it. I stood on the bridge of a neutral ship, orbiting the ruins of Taros 5, as the last wave of Terran dropcraft returned to their hangars. I watched Captain Moraine emerge, helmet tucked under one arm, eyes focused on the stars. I approached her, my voice shaking. Why? She looked at me, tired, but still burning with something deeper. We told you what we were, she said. You laughed. Then you brought the fire to our doorstep. All we did was return it. She stepped past me, her boots clanking against metal. And for what it's worth, she added almost softly, you haven't even seen us angry yet. Epilogue transmission, unclassified, HFY comms. They believed they could dominate humanity like they did every other species. They thought we'd fold. We didn't. Because war isn't just tactics and firepower to us. It's a memory, a myth, a forge. And when we step into it, we become something else entirely. Unknown Human, post-Taros Phi campaign.